Savitar Sutra. Okay. Yeah, please go through.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Text 13. Text number 13.
I don't have adapter. Adapter.
We just need 2 minutes. Krishna 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 Krishna
Jogjate vichare kichu nahi pai, tomara karuna saro. Karanana oile kandiya kandiya rananara kibo aro. Gurudev, by a drop of your mercy, make this servant of yours humbler than a blade of grass, giving me strength to bear all trials and troubles. Make me devoid of all desires for personal honor. O Lord and Master, please give me the power to properly honor all living beings. Only then will I sing the holy name in great ecstasy, and all my offenses cease. O Lord and Master, when will this devotee, obtaining your mercy, become blessed? Devoid of all strength and intelligence, and very low and fallen, please make me your own servant. Upon examining my value, I find that I have none. Your mercy is essential to me. Therefore, if you are not merciful, I will constantly weep, and I will not maintain my life any longer. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koro E Dase Trina Pekaya Dina Kripa Bindu Diya Koro E Dase Trina Pekaya Dina Gurudev 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 Jai Jaya Gurudev. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Vande Guru Isha Bhaktan Ishanisha Vatarakam Tat Prakasham Tatat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Samjakam. Thank you. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gododai Pushpavanto Chitro Shando Tamo Nudao. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. We're continuing our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're in Canto 6, Chapter 3. Yamaraj instructs his messengers. And we're taking up at text number 13, where we left off last night. Just as the driver of a bullock cart ties ropes through the nostrils of his bulls to control them, the Supreme Personality of Godhead binds all men through the ropes of his words in the Vedas, which set forth the names and activities of the distinct orders of human society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. In fear, the members of these orders all worship the Supreme Lord by offering him presentations according to their respective activities. Everybody move up by whatever the translation of 7.2 inches is in the United Kingdom. Apparently it's more than 7.2. No, but it's good because, yes?
Sorry, I'll let you finish. Just one announcement I want.
Okay. Please.
Just one request, dear devotees, please keep your phones on, because if they do go on, we just request you to sponsor a Bhagavatam set.
If somebody calls you and we can hear the ring, we will be collecting
That's the rule for today.
199 pounds for a set of Bhagatams. So yeah, put the phone on full blast. Deep breath. Purport. In this material world, everyone is conditioned regardless of who he is. One may be a human being, a demigod, or an animal, tree or plant, but everything is controlled by the laws of nature, and behind this natural control is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10, where Krishna says, Mayadakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. The material nature is working under my direction and producing all moving and non-moving beings. Thus, Krishna is behind the natural machine which works under his control. Apart from other living entities, the living being in the human form of body is systematically controlled by the Vedic injunctions in terms of the divisions of Varna and Ashrama. A human being is expected to follow the rules and regulations of Varna and Ashrama. Otherwise, he cannot escape punishment by Yamaraj. The point is that every human being is expected to elevate himself to the position of a Brahmana, the most intelligent man, and then one must transcend that position to become a Vaishnava. This is the perfection of life. The Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra can elevate themselves by worshipping the Lord according to their activities. Sve sve karmya virata samsiddhim labhate naraha. The divisions of Varna and Ashrama are necessary to ensure the proper execution of duties and peaceful existence for everyone. But everyone is directed to worship the Supreme Lord who is all-pervading. Yena sarvam idam tatam. The Supreme Lord exists vertically and horizontally, otam protam. And therefore, if one follows the Vedic injunctions, by worshipping the Supreme Lord according to one's ability, his life will be perfect. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.13, Atapumbir dvijashrishta varnashrama vibhagasha svanushtis tasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. O best among the twice-born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging his prescribed duties, dharma, according to caste divisions and orders of life, is to please the Lord Hari. The Varnashrama institution offers the perfect process for making one eligible to return home back to Godhead, because the aim of every Varna and Ashrama is to please the Supreme Lord. One can please the Lord under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, and if one does so, his life is perfect. The Supreme Lord is worshipable, and everyone worships him directly or indirectly. Those who worship him directly get the results of liberation quickly, whereas the liberation of those who serve him indirectly is delayed. The words Namavir Vachi are very important. In the Varnashrama institution, there are different names: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi. The Vak, or Vedic injunctions, give directions for all these divisions. Everyone is expected to offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord and perform duties as indicated in the Vedas. Text 14 and 15. I, Yamaraj, Indra, the king of heaven, Nriti, Varuna, Chandra, the moon god, Agni, Lord Shiva, Pavana, Lord Brahma, Surya, sun god, Vishvasu, the 8 Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Maruts, the Rudras, the Siddhas, Marichi, and the other great rishis engaged in maintaining the departmental affairs of the universe. The best of the demigods headed by Brihaspati and the great sages headed by Bhrigu are all certainly freed from the influence of the two base material modes of nature, namely passion and ignorance. Nevertheless, although we are in the mode of goodness, we cannot understand the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What then is to be said of others who, under illusion, merely speculate to know God? Purport: the men and other living entities within this cosmic manifestation are controlled by the three modes of nature. For the living entities controlled by the base qualities of nature, passion and ignorance, there is no possibility of understanding God. Even those in the mode of goodness, like the many demigods and great rishis described in these verses, cannot understand the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, one who is situated in the devotional service of the Lord is transcendental to all the material qualities. Therefore, the Lord personally says that no one can understand him but the bhaktas, who are transcendental to all material qualities. Bhaktya mam vijanati. As stated by Bhishma Dev to Maharaj Yudhishthira in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:9-16, Nahyasya karichit rajan puman veda vaditsitam yad jignasaya yukta huyanti kavayopihi. O king, no one can know the plan of the Lord, Sri Krishna. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. No one, therefore, can understand God by speculative knowledge. Indeed, by speculation, one will be bewildered, huyanti. This is also confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatiti siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kashim mam veti tattvataha. Among many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And even among the siddhas who have already become perfect, only one who adopts the process of bhakti, devotional service, can understand Krishna. Text 16. As the different limbs of the body cannot see the eyes, the living entities cannot see the Supreme Lord, who is situated as the Supersoul in everyone's heart. Not by the senses, by the mind, by the life air, by thoughts within the heart, or by the vibration of words can the living entities ascertain the real situation of the Supreme Lord. Purport: although the different parts of the body do not have the power to see the eyes direct the movements of the body's different parts. The legs move forward because the eyes see what is in front of them, and the hand touches because the eyes see the touchable entities. Similarly, every living being acts according to the direction of the Supersoul, who is situated within the heart. As the Lord himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matak smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I'm sitting in everyone's heart and giving directions for remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshara junachistati. The Supreme Lord, as the Supersoul, is situated within the heart. The living entity cannot do anything without the sanction of the Supersoul. The Supersoul is acting at every moment, but the living entity cannot understand the form and activities of the Supersoul by manipulating his senses. The example of the eyes and the bodily limbs is very appropriate. If the limbs could see, they could walk forward without the help of the eyes, but that is impossible. Although one cannot see the Supersoul in one's heart, through sensual activities, his direction is necessary. Text number 17. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient and fully independent, He is the master of everyone and everything, including the illusory energy. He has his form, qualities, and features, and similarly his order carriers, the Vaishnavas, who are very beautiful, possess bodily features, transcendental qualities, and a transcendental nature almost like his. They always wander within this world with full independence. Purport. Yamaraj was describing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller, but the order carriers of Yamaraj were very eager to know about the Vishnu Dutas, who had defeated them in their encounter with Ajamya. Yamaraj therefore stated that the Vishnu Dutas resemble the Supreme Personality of Godhead in their bodily features, transcendental qualities, and nature. In other words, the Vishnu Dutas, or Vaishnavas, are almost as qualified as the Supreme Lord. Yamaraj informed the Yamadutas that the Vishnu Dutas are no less powerful than Lord Vishnu. Since Vishnu is above Yamaraj, the Vishnu Dutas are above the Yamadutas. Persons protected by the Vishnu Dutas, therefore, cannot be touched by the Yamadutas. Haribol. Text number 18. The order carriers of Lord Vishnu, who are worshipped even by the demigods, possess wonderful bodily features exactly like those of Vishnu and are very rarely seen. The Vishnu Dutas protect the devotees of the Lord from the hands of enemies, from envious persons, and even from my jurisdiction, as well as from natural disturbances. Purport. Yamaraj has specifically described the qualities of the Vishnu Dutas to convince his own servants not to be envious of them. Yamaraj warned the Yamadutas that the Vishnu Dutas are worshipped with respectful obeisances by the demigods and are always very alert to protect the devotees of the Lord from the hands of enemies, from natural disturbances, and from all dangerous conditions in this material world. Sometimes the members of the Krishna Consciousness Society are afraid Teya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. Material danger is not meant for devotees. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham. In this material world, there are dangers at every step, but they are not meant for devotees who have fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord. The pure devotees of Lord Vishnu may rest assured of the Lord's protection. And as long as they are in this material world, they should fully engage in devotional service by preaching the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna, namely the Hare Krishna movement of Krishna consciousness. If anybody asks you who you're with, tell them you're with the Hare Krishna movement of Krishna consciousness. Text number 19, or maybe even better, tell them you're preaching the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It cannot ascertain the real religious principles, nor can the demigods or the leaders of Siddhaloka, to say nothing of the asuras, ordinary human beings, vidyadharas and charanas. Purport. When challenged by the Vishnu Dutas to describe the principles of religion, the Yamadutas said, Veda pranihito dharma. The religious principles are the principles enacted in the Vedic literature. They do not know, however, that the Vedic literature contains ritualistic ceremonies that are not transcendental, that are meant to keep peace and order among materialistic persons in the material world. Real religious principles are nistraygunya, above the three modes of material nature, or transcendental. The Yamadutas did not know these transcendental religious principles, and therefore, when prevented from arresting Ajamil, they were surprised. Materialistic persons who attach all their faith to the Vedic rituals are described in Bhagavad Gita 2.42, wherein Krishna says, Veda vada rata partha nanyat asti tivadina. The supposed followers of the Vedas say that there is nothing beyond the Vedic ceremonies. Indeed, There's a group of men in India who are very fond of the Vedic rituals, not understanding the meaning of these rituals, which are intended to elevate one gradually to the transcendental platform of knowing Krishna. Vedaishta sarverham eva vedya. Those who do not know this principle, but who simply attach their faith to the Vedic rituals, are called Veda Vada Rata. Herein it is stated that the real religious principle is that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That principle is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Bhagavad Gita 1866. One should give up all other duties and surrender unto the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the real religious principle everyone should follow. Even though one follows Vedic scriptures, one may not know this transcendental principle, for it is not known to everyone. To say nothing of human beings, even the demigods in the upper planetary system, from the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly or from his special representative, as stated in the next verses. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu, Kumara Kapilo Manu, Pralado Janako Bhishmo, Balir Vayasak Vayam, Dvadaishate Vijanimo, Dharmam Bhagavatam Bata, Kuyam Vishudham Durbodham, Yam Gyat Vamritam Ashnute. Lord Brahma, Bhagavan Narada, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti, the Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, Grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami, and I myself know the real religious principle. My dear servants, this transcendental religious principle, which is known as Bhagavata Dharma, or surrender unto the Supreme Lord and love for Him, is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is very confidential and difficult for ordinary human beings to understand. But if by chance one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated, and thus he returns home back to Godhead. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna refers to Bhagavata Dharma as the most confidential religious principle. Sarvaguyatamam guyad guyataram. Krishna says to Arjuna, because you are my very dear friend, I am explaining to you the most confidential religion. Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Give up all other duties and surrender unto me. One may ask, if this principle is very rarely understood, what is the use of it? In answer, Yamaraj states herein that this religious principle is understandable if one follows the parampara system of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, and the other standard authorities. There are 4 lines of disciplic succession, one from Lord Brahma, one from Lord Shiva, one from Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, and one from the Kumaras. The disciplic succession from Lord Brahma is called the Brahma Sampradaya. The succession from Lord Shiva, Shambhu, is called the Rudra Sampradaya. The one from the goddess of fortune, Lakshmiji, is called the Shri Sampradaya, and the one from the Kumaras is called the Kumara Sampradaya. One must take shelter of one of these 4 sampradayas in order to understand the most confidential religious system. In the Padma Purana it is said, Sampradaya vihina ye mandraste nishbala mataha. If one does not follow the 4 recognized disciplic successions, his mantra or initiation is useless. In the present day, there are many upper sampradayas, or sampradayas which are not bona fide, which have no link to authorities like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the Kumaras, or Lakshmi. People are misguided by such sampradayas. The Shastras say that being initiated into such a sampradaya is a useless waste of time, for it will never enable one to understand the real religious principles. Now take a few reflections or questions. Giriraj Kripa.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask if, how we read in the beginning of the reading about the principles of Varnashram Dharma. And also we read in the same time that a devotee have to give up all the other principles except surrendering to Krishna and the spiritual master. So how we can understand what's how the Varnashram Dharma's principles relevant in this case if we also try to practice to give up and just try to surrender. So how these principles are relevant to us nowadays.
And considering that, as Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur called it, Daivi Varnashrama. So there's a way in which, although our main objective, and of course the main objective of Varnashrama is to surrender to Krishna, ultimately. But while we're practicing Krishna consciousness, there are ways in which we can also make sure that we have, so to speak, 2 feet on the ground. So consider the fact that chanting Hare Krishna is sufficient for going back home, back to Godhead. Nothing else needed. That's proved in the last verse of the Sharanagati by Bhaktivedanta Thakur, where he describes how by his chanting of the Mahamantra, Lord Krishna personally comes and takes him by the hand, or more accurately, the holy name comes and takes him by the hand back to Godhead and introduces him to his relationship with the Supreme Personality of God in the spiritual world. However, you'll find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that although Lord Chaitanya says there's no need for any initiation even for chanting the holy name of the Lord, the purport is specifically about, and it's written by Jiva Goswami, Prabhupada's transcription of his directions on this, that initiation is very much needed. Because in order to purely chant Hare Krishna, one also has to have the Pancharatric system. I'm making a parallel between this and the idea of Varnashrama, because there's a way in which when we come into the material world, we're prone to confusion, there are complexities and impurities. And therefore, when we have the regulation of the Daivi Varnashrama, a way in which we can be properly situated at the various segments of our life, when we have particular psychophysiological nature, then we can remain steady in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we have a dual existence in this world. We have our body, mind, and we are the Atma. But the endeavor to continue chanting Hare Krishna and be engaged is helped by the regulation that we get from the Varnashrama system. And therefore, the 2 things complement one another in that sense. However, if somebody thinks that the Varnashrama is the ultimate goal and forgets about Krishna, then it's useless. It has no real purpose because it's related to the 3 modes of material nature. Okay?
Yes, Gurumaraj, thank you.
Okay.
Is it possible to ask one more?
You want a follow-up question or one more?
No, it's a follow-up.
Follow-up, okay, go ahead.
Just like, what's the healthy amount of effort from a devotee to put in this topic, like to try to understand and establish Varnashram Dharma in our society level and also in our personal life as devotees, to try to understand what is our psychophysical nature. So what's the healthy amount of effort to put into that?
42%. You're welcome. The next one. Microphones here. You can fight it out amongst yourselves.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I just have a question about what we read earlier, that Krishna lives within everyone's heart, and we are given direction by Krishna to act. then why in the world there are sinful activities done by individuals? If Krishna is giving the direction, why the direction is not to do the sinful activities and do the right things?
Did you grow up with parents? Yes?
Yes.
Did they ever give you instruction that you didn't follow?
Yes.
That's your answer. Krishna's giving us good instruction right behind you. So we have to listen and follow it. And for those who can't hear the Super Soul within, he speaks the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, so we can hear it directly from the Bhagavad Gita, which is the same as Krishna speaking directly to us. Why don't you go interview people downtown London and ask him how many people follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. You can even ask all the Indians who are supposed to have heard the Bhagavad Gita if they're actually following it. So it's due to the willfulness of the soul to go it on his own or her own and do something contrary to Krishna's instructions. So Krishna says in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, if you follow my direction as the Super Soul, or from the Bhagavad Gita, then you'll be properly directed. But if you don't, and you go on your own willy-nilly, then you'll be doomed. We're being carried away by the external energy of the Lord. So that's why we have an International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to give everyone the opportunity to understand the tenets of Krishna's teachings, and then by association, by varnashrama, scaffolding, we can actually carry that out in this lifetime, follow Krishna's instructions. And it's uplifting when we are able to hear his instruction and actually follow it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This thought is triggered by yesterday's reading, where Ajamil gave up his material body. We find this expression in many parts of Srimad Bhagavatam, like the Brahmana's wives. One of them was kept back by the husband, and she gave up her body. So in this idea of effectively suicide, there are two concepts there. One is that it's sinful, and you suffer by becoming a ghost and things like that. And the other is that we're meant to perceive anything that happens to us as the Lord's kind of mercy and direction, so that we learn something and we need to endure it. So how do we kind of understand this idea?
Could you ask the question in one sentence with no semicolons?
Okay, so the idea of giving up your material...
Heed the sound of Krishna's flute and join him in the forest. Didn't necessarily commit suicide, but the pressure of being held back was so much that they gave up their physical bodies. Our acharyas describe how means they gave up the last vestiges of any attachment to the material world. Even in the case of Lord Brahma giving up his body, it's described how he gave up his subtle body, which is because there was some contamination there due to his connection with rajas, which is necessary for creation, and therefore our acharyas say when he gave up his body, he gave up his subtle body. And there are many different instances about this. And even one of the ecstasies described in the experience is death. But because it's considered inauspicious, the devotees don't die because they want to do their service. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't condone Sanatana Goswami's committing suicide. He had come to Jagannath Puri to serve the Lord, and on his way through Jharkhanda, he was traveling alone with no facility, so he drank whatever water he could to stay alive, and some of it was contaminated. Therefore, he got a disease with oozing sores on his body, and by the time he got to Jagannath Puri, he was fully infected. He stayed in the same place as Haridas Thakur. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to come every day to see Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami, and he would embrace Sanatana Goswami out of affection. And Sanatana thought to himself, my coming here to Jagannath Puri has been useless because I came here to serve the Lord, but now I'm just making offenses because he insists on embracing me and I contaminate the transcendental body of the Lord. So he came up with an idea that when the Rath Yatra festival comes, then before the gaze of the Lord, I will throw myself under the wheel of the cart and commit suicide. He only thought it to himself, but when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to visit, he brought it up. At that point, Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, says, Sanatana could understand that the Lord was omniscient. He said to him, I do not approve of you committing suicide. He said, if committing suicide could bring me Krishna Prema, I would have done it millions of times already. And therefore, I forbid you. And then he turned to Haridas Thakur and he said, what is the character of this person? He has already given his body to me, and now he wants to destroy it. And I know when one of our sannyasis in the early days, Vishnu Jana Swami, come on in, we fit 2,000 people in here yesterday. There's plenty of room, and thanks for coming. Everyone, you can even move up more if you want a couple more inches. Vegetarian, it will be okay. Make room for the sadhus. They travel long distance just to come hear the Bhagavatam. So he said to Haridas, what is the character of Sanatana Goswami, of this person? He's given his body to me, now he wants to destroy it. And so he didn't approve of that process. However, Prabhupada once said, talked about how his father, it was his father or his mother, was ill in the last days and fasted until leaving the body. He said this is more attuned to Vaishnava suicide. But it is not stereotyped. There's different reasons why certain devotees leave their body. Oh, I was talking about Vishnu Jana when the door opened. And Vishnu Jana Prabhu had some misstep. And there, he had heard the story of Chota Haridas and so forth. And so he went to Prayag and he drowned himself in the confluence. And after it was reported to Prabhupada, he didn't appreciate it. He said that he had so much service he could have done. So he didn't like if devotees would do that, because he was needed for the service and he should have consulted first. And Prabhupada would have told him not to in that case. But then we have the case of Junior Haridas. And that's a long story. And a very intense one too. But it's to set an example for all times so people wouldn't become sahajis in the future. In that case, Junior Haridas did service by drowning himself because of an indiscretion. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't like that because it was done in his name. And therefore, he made this example so that people would, especially in their renounced order of life, be extremely strict in the future. One last question and then we'll move on. Okay, Mathura Kripa, and you hold yours for the next time.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. In text 14, Yamaraj says, he says, although we're in the mode of goodness, we cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains that only a devotee of the Lord, a bhakta, through devotional service can understand the Supreme. So what about a devotee like myself who performs devotional service but in the mode of passion or ignorance? Is there a chance of understanding the Supreme Lord?
How do you know you're in the mode of passion or ignorance? Sounds like self-diagnosis. Well, It's important. The motive of goodness is important. I may have mentioned the other day from the 11th canto, 13th chapter, verses 1 through 6. Krishna mentions to Uddhava about the importance of cultivating sattva in all that you do. He mentions 10 items that are common items in our lives that should all be in sattva guna, including water, the people you associate with, the place you live, etc. And of course in the Gita, Krishna says, Yesham tvantakatam papam jananam punyakarmanam tedvan va mohanir mukta vajanti mam dridhavarta. From the mode of goodness, then you're more likely to be determined in devotional service. And it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam also how there's raw wood, smoke, fire, and human life and our activities should be leading us. The raw wood's ignorance, smoke is passion, and the fire is goodness. And in that verse, Sattvam Yad Brahmadarshanam, from sattva, you can see the difference between matter and spirit. But only by pure devotional service can you come to understand the personality of Godhead. One of the indications here in the context is that there's no material qualification, including goodness, that guarantees that one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because pravachanena labhyona medayana bahuna shutena yami vaisha vrinute tena labhyas te shaisha esha ravinute tanum swam. So the Purana says there's no amount of austerity you can do, or even if you're the smartest person on the planet, or a great speaker, or you can memorize Shastra faster than ChatGPT, can read it back to you. He said these are not qualifications for knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only pure devotional service. And we find those who are simple, but pure-hearted, pure devotional service. In fact, in the chapter of the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, amidst all the chapters that describe Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Varnashram, etc., there's one chapter on pure devotional service. It's much shorter than all the other chapters. The basic thing Krishna says is devotees should be extremely humble and offer respects to all living beings, even a dog. You should offer your obeisances to, seeing that he's part and parcel of Krishna and Krishna is within his heart. So it's not by all these means. Krishna says in the 11th chapter of the Gita that you can see me by austerity, by so many things, but it's by pure devotional service. However, we shouldn't neglect cultivating the mode of goodness, because from that platform, Sattvam Yad Brahmadarshanam, then one has the best opportunity to be steady in devotional service. And that goes back to the Varnashram. To be able to be regulated, regulate the senses, have 2 feet on the ground, then you can hope to jump up high. I'll read just a little bit more. Is everyone okay?
Yes.
Do you have enough air?
Yes.
No? Can we import some somewhere? Everything's open, okay. Fans going. What? You can open the back door. Air's really important. Okay, I'm going to go. You ready?
Yes.
This is text number 22. Etavaneva loke smin pungsam dharma parasmitaha bhakti yogo bhagavati tanama grahanadibi. Devotional service, beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, is the ultimate religious principle for the living entity in human society. Purport, as stated in the previous verse, Dharman Bhagavatam. Real religious principles are Bhagavata Dharma. The principles described in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, or in Bhagavad Gita, the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam. What are these principles? The Bhagavatam says, Dharma prochita kaitavotra. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are no cheating religious systems. Everything in the Bhagavatam is directly connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavatam further says, Savai Pumsam Parodharmo Yato Bhaktira Dhokshaje. The Supreme Religion is that which teaches its followers how to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the reach of experimental knowledge. Such a religious system begins with Tannama Grahana, chanting the holy name of the Lord, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Bhara Sevanam. After chanting the holy name of the Lord and dancing in ecstasy, one gradually sees the form of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, and the transcendental qualities of the Lord. This way, one fully understands the situation of the personality of Godhead. One can come to this understanding of the Lord, how he descends into the material world, how he takes his births, and what activities he performs. But one can know this only by executing devotional service. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktimam Abhijanati, simply by devotional service one can understand everything about the Supreme Lord. If one fortunately understands the Supreme Lord in this way, the result is Tyaktva Deham Punarjanmanaiti. After giving up his material body, he no longer has to take birth in this material world. Instead, he returns home back to Godhead. That is the ultimate perfection. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8:15, Mamupeta punarjanma dukhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Text 23. My dear servants, who are as good as my sons, just see how glorious is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The greatly sinful Ajamil chanted only to call his son, not knowing that he was chanting the Lord's holy name. Nevertheless, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, he remembered Narayan, and thus he was immediately saved from the ropes of death. Purport: there is no need to conduct research into the significance of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The history of Ajamil is sufficient proof of the power of the Lord's holy name and the exalted position of a person who chants the holy name incessantly. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, Harinama, Harinama, Harinameva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata. In this age of Kali, no one can perform all the ritualistic ceremonies for becoming liberated. That is extremely difficult. Therefore, all the Shastras and all the Acharyas have recommended that in this age, one chant the holy name. Therefore, it should be understood that one is easily relieved from all sinful reactions by chanting the holy name of the Lord and chanting of his qualities and activities. This is the only process recommended for relief from sinful reactions. Even if one chants the holy name of the Lord with improper pronunciation, he will achieve relief from material bondage if he chants without offenses. Ajamil, for example, was extremely sinful, but while dying, he merely chanted the holy name. And although calling his son, he achieved complete liberation because he remembered the name of Narayan. Haribol. Purport: in the assembly of Raghunath Das Goswami's father, Haridas Thakur confirmed that simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord one is liberated, even if he does not chant completely inoffensively. Smarta Brahmanas and Mayavadis do not believe that one can achieve liberation in this way. But the truth of Haridas Thakur's statement is supported by many quotations from Srimad Bhagavatam. In his commentary on this verse, for example, Sridhar Swami gives the following quotation: Sayam pratur ganan bhaktya dukkha grama vimuchyate. If one always chants the holy name of the Lord with great devotion, in the evening and in the morning, one can become free from all material miseries. Another quotation confirms that one can achieve liberation if one hears the holy name of the Lord constantly, every day, with great respect. Anudinam idam adarena srinvan. Another quotation says, Shravanam kirtanam dhyanam harir adbhuta karmana janma karma gunanam cha tadarte kila cheshtitam. One should always chant and hear about the extraordinarily wonderful activities of the Lord. One should meditate upon these activities, and one should endeavor to please the Lord. Sridhar Swami also quotes from the Puranas, Papakshayascha bhavanti smanantam tam ahar nisham. One can become free from all sinful reactions simply by remembering the lotus feet of the Lord day and night, ahar nisham. Furthermore, he quotes from Bhagavatam, Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnur, Jagan Mangalam Amhasam, Mahatam Abhikorabhya, Vidyaikantikam Nishkritam. All these quotations prove that one who constantly engages in chanting and hearing of the holy activities, name, fame, and form of the Lord is liberated. As stated wonderfully in this verse, Eta Vatalam Aganir Haranaya Punsam. Simply by uttering the name of the Lord, one is freed from all sinful reactions. The word alam, which is used in this verse, indicates that simply uttering the holy name of the Lord is sufficient. This word is used with different imports. As stated in the Amara Kosh, the most authorized dictionary in the Sanskrit language, Alam bhushanam paryapi shaktivarana vachakam. The word alam is used to mean ornament, sufficiency, power, and restraint. Here the word alam is used to indicate that there is no need of any other process, for the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is sufficient. Even if one chants imperfectly, one becomes free from all sinful reactions by chanting. This power of chanting the holy name was proved by the liberation of Ajamil. When Ajamil chanted the holy name of Narayan, he did not precisely remember the Supreme Lord. Instead, he remembered his own son. At the time of death, Ajamil certainly was not very clean. Indeed, he was famous as a great sinner. Furthermore, one's physiological condition is completely disturbed at the time of death. And in such an awkward condition, it would certainly have been very difficult for Ajamil to have chanted clearly. Nevertheless, Ajamil achieved liberation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Therefore, what is to be said of those who are not sinful like Ajamil? It is to be concluded that with a strong vow, one should chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. For thus one will certainly be delivered from the clutches of Maya by the grace of Krishna. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is recommended even for persons who commit offenses, because if they continue chanting, they will gradually chant offenselessly. Namaparajnanam. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra without offenses, one increases his love for Krishna. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prema Pumarta Mahan, one's main concern should be to increase one's attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to increase one's love for Him. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:19-24, Evam dharmar manushyanam udavat mani vedinam mai sanjayate bhakti konyorto svai vishyate. My dear Uddhava, the supreme religious system for human society is that by which one can awaken his dormant love for me. Commenting on this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the word bhakti by saying, Premaya bhukta ka anya artha asya. In the presence of bhakti, what is the necessity of liberation? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also quotes this verse from the Padma Purana. Nama parada yuktanam namanyeva harantyagam vishranti prayuktani tanye varta karani cha. Even if in the beginning one chants the Hare Krishna mantra with offenses, one will become free from such offenses by chanting again and again. Papak shayishcha bhavati smarantam tam arhan nisham. One becomes free from all sinful reactions if one chants day and night, following the recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who quoted the following verse. Harinama, Harinama, Harinameva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, 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 Bhatiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way. If the members of the Krishna consciousness movement strictly follow this recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their position will always be secure. Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I wanted to ask, in the Bhagavad Gita,
Closer.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, whatever you think of at the time of death, that's where you go. So I wanted to ask, is there a connection between our minds and the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas?
Well, as we heard earlier, Yamaraj is empowered by Krishna. He said he was practically omniscient. So for him to be able to assess the psychic movements of living entities, what to speak of scores of living entities, yes, there is an empowerment by which they can understand the mental state and intentions. Everything's taken into account. It's trillions of times faster than ChatGPT. Yes. Hare Krishna. We'll give you a mic.
You mentioned that humbleness.
Keep the mic really close. Thank you.
You mentioned that humbleness is the most important quality. So my question is, what is the limit in applying that? Because as far I am understanding, is Krishna saying to Arjuna to kill everyone humbly?
To keep everyone humble?
To kill everyone by being humble.
Well, Prabhupada asked a question in that regard in the Bhagavad Gita, in his purport. He says, was Arjuna being humble, acting humbly in killing? So one has to understand the meaning of humility. Humility means that we sublimate our own self-interest for the sake of Krishna's interest. And that's based on an ontological understanding, that is, truthful understanding, clear understanding of our relationship with Krishna, is that we're the part and parcel of Krishna. And therefore, when we act to please Krishna's senses, that's humility. When we act to please our senses, it's self-centeredness in the pejorative sense, and that is that we're doing it for ourselves. So it's not humbling ourselves to the Supreme. So when Arjuna, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, appeared to be humble because he was saying, well, I don't want to offend anybody. And then Krishna says, snap out of it and kill all these people because I want you to. He had something in mind. He had gathered them all there to bring back Dharma to the earth. And that was his will. And when Krishna ordered him, then Arjuna became humble by sublimating his own bodily conceived ideas of how he was going to be happy to Krishna's supreme will. And that's what's considered humility, the ultimate humility. So is there a limit to being humble? No, in fact, you find in the Bhagavatam as described by Narada Muni, when one's advancing in Krishna consciousness, one must also notice that one's, as he calls, dainya, or utter humility, is also increasing along parallel lines. That is, there's no increase in prema, or love for Krishna, without a concomitant amount of dainya, or utter humility, in that practice. Yes?
Thank you. Maharaj, once speaking about the point of humility, I came across and took a picture of this in a Back to Godhead magazine. It was a very interesting definition Srila Prabhupada gave, and if I have your permission, I can just read it out.
Yeah, please.
Prabhupada said that humility means that you're convinced beyond any doubt that there is nothing in this world, not your money, not your family, not your fame, not your education, nothing that will save you except the mercy of Krishna. When you're convinced like this, then you're humble. And in the morning walk, Srila Prabhupada explains that often people think the material humility, which means feeling inferior to others, can sometimes be artificial or creeping pride. He taught that the transcendental humility is tied to Sharanagati or surrender. Just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you. Practical. It's a commonly asked question, especially, let's say, I've noticed it a lot in corporate environments. If the concept of humility comes up, people say, yeah, but how am I going to get anywhere? Because there's a sense that humility just means to submit oneself to whomever for whatever reason and become a doormat. It doesn't mean that. It means to be engaged in the process of surrender to Krishna, which is a sixfold process called Sharanagati, which involves that one should consider Krishna one's protector, one should consider Krishna one's maintainer, one should always be meek and humble, one should surrender everything to Krishna, one should accept those things favorable and reject those things unfavorable. It's the process of Sharanagati. One more? From any side? Yes?
Thank you very much for the readings. It seems from this section that real religious principles is very clear, like chanting the holy name, sarvadharman parityaja, savaipum samparo dharmo. But at the same time, we see the rarity of understanding these religious principles, and it's mentioned the sages and many celestial beings don't understand. So the doubt just came to mind that like it's like so easily clear that is there more to it? Like, or have we? How do we know if we've understood it properly? Because I'm just thinking, because it's so rare, but it's been so like readily available, like right here in the Bhagavatam. So, I don't know if I'm communicating this clearly or.
You're communicating extremely well. I'm just thinking of the answer as you're speaking. In the Gita, Krishna says, Raja Vidya Raja Kuyam, Pavitramidam Uttamam. Pratyakshavagam dharnyam susukam kartamavyam. His first statement about the knowledge that he's giving there is, it's kuyam. It's an open secret. And as Devamrita Swami writes in one of his books, he says, the material world is going on because of mass consensual trance. People consent to being under the modes of material nature and being bewildered because of unwillingness to surrender to Krishna. That's the simplicity that's given in the Bhagavatam. Bhayam dvitiya binibesha tasyad ishat apetasya viparyo smiti. What is the problem? The problem is apetasya. We've turned away from Krishna. What is the solution? Turn back toward Krishna. What is the next problem? I don't wanna. Because what about all my stuff? And what about me? The misunderstanding is that we're part and parcel of Krishna. And when one understands that by serving Krishna, we're naturally satisfied. Whereas we try to act independently, we're naturally unsatisfied. and perpetually unsatisfied. We find people come in contact with Krishna consciousness, and by association, purification, then they gradually pick up the idea and they're happy to be devotees. It's a kevala anandakanda, it's a blissful process. And they feel naturally satisfied. Oh, you're still here. That's good. But most people have an abhorrence for the idea of what we would call divine slavery to God. It's like, I'm a slave to no one, especially if you're an American. We broke away from the crown, supposedly. But this is the causeless unwillingness of souls in the material world to turn away from God. But it is simple. It's just not easy because of the addiction to matter. And Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita that by association, by hearing, one gives up one's long cherished desire to dominate the material nature. That's a happy day, actually. There's a way in which Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that by purification of the anarthas within the heart, when one comes to the point where the heart is completely clean, this is in the section of Gudicha Marjana, cleansing the Gudicha temple. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri with his associates, he went to do service at the Gudicha temple before the Jagannath Rath Yatra. As you must know, the Gudicha temple represents Vrindavan, and the temple of Jagannath represents Dwarka, and then Krishna leaves and comes to Vrindavan. He's pulled there by his devotees. And when they cleansed the temple for the pleasure of the Lord before his arrival, they brought hundreds and hundreds of pots of water, and they were sweeping with hundreds of brooms, and they cleansed it once, twice, 3 times, and then outside. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pile of straw and dust was bigger than anybody else's. And when he saw anybody doing well, he would tell them, you teach others how to keep doing this. There's a long commentary there by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that Srila Prabhupada relates to us. And it's about how all the straw and dust and debris that they swept up represents the anarthas, unwanted things within our heart. There may be a cheating propensity. There may be lust, kam, krodh, lobh, mana, moha, matsarya, all these urges that are from the lower modes of nature and have accumulated there since the time immemorial. That's like that debris and dust. So then he says, by the process of Krishna consciousness, as we know from Bhagavatam, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridyantaksto Hibadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam, that Krishna helps to remove all those things from the heart. So then he concludes, so when the heart is completely clean, no more causeless unwillingness to surrender to Krishna, then one can establish Krishna on the throne of one's heart. And then he says, then you can hold a big festival to celebrate. Invite all your friends. You can feed everybody in the universe because you've achieved the ultimate goal of life, which is to clean the heart. So much so that you can install Krishna on the throne of your heart. And this is the main goal of life. So it's a simple, sublime process. But many people don't know it or don't want to know it. There's, in the legal system, there's a phenomena of feigned ignorance. Means somebody's guilty of a crime, but they pretend like they don't know they did it, or they can't remember if they did it or not, even though they're lying. And they can still be prosecuted because of the fact that it's obvious that they knew or they should have known. So souls are like that. They're turned away, and it's really until they come to a point of desiring to turn back to Krishna, it takes more than a little coaxing for them to come back, right? Does everyone you meet, when you go on Sankirtan, immediately want to surrender to Krishna? Many people have misconceptions. Krishna says in the Gita, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. They have this irrational attachment to matter. How long does that take to overcome? The irrational attachment to matter. One knows that connecting with the material nature is a complete waste of time for one's sense gratification, because it's here today, gone tomorrow. And then there's bhaya, or fear, of even our own identity as being an individual. That's why there are nihilistic philosophies that say perfection of spirituality, so-called spirituality, means to obliterate the self. And by the way, there is no God. And then there's krodha, which is anger, which is a kind of intellectual disgust, that one has heard so many conflicting ideas about the absolute truth and how to understand the absolute truth, that one simply becomes disgusted and says, there is no ultimate truth. It's all process. Deconstructionism means you can't reach any conclusion. There are hundreds of philosophers from antiquity that gave this opinion. There is no end to knowledge, it's just a process. But we have Vedanta. There is an end, and there is a time at which, as Akrura says in his prayers, we're like logs floating down a river, and there is a time in which they'll wash up on the shore and be freed from that perpetual journey going down the river, and we will too. Om Tat Sat. Let's keep going a little more, shall we? Yes. Is everyone okay, or you need to stand up? Stand up. Okay, stand up. And let me tell you that I'm going to teach you a mantra. It's called the Gora Gopal mantra. And it was chanted by Shivananda Sain, who was one of the intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so you repeat after me. It's got 4 syllables, although you'll think there's 3. Are you ready?
Yes.
Gauranga. Try again. Gauranga. 4 syllables. Go. Gauranga. Feel better?
Yes.
All right, let's go. Isn't that a great mantra?
Yes.
Okay, we're in the thick of it. We're at text number 25. It's getting more and more pointed and nectarian. Because they are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality Godhead, Yajnavalkya and Jaimini and other compilers of the religious scriptures cannot know the secret, confidential religious system of the 12 Bhajans. They cannot understand the transcendental value of performing devotional service or chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, because their minds are attracted to the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas, especially the Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Rigveda. Their intelligence has become dull. Thus, they are busy collecting the ingredients for ritualistic ceremonies that yield only temporary benefits, such as elevation to Swargaloka for material happiness. They are not attracted to the Sankirtan movement. Instead, they are interested in dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Purport. Since one may easily achieve the highest success by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one may ask, like somebody just did, why there are so many Vedic ritualistic ceremonies and why people are attracted to them. This verse answers that question. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedaishta sarver ahameva vedya. The real purpose of studying the Vedas is to approach the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Unfortunately, unintelligent people, bewildered by the grandeur of Vedic yajnas, want to see gorgeous sacrifices performed. They want Vedic mantras chanted and huge amounts of money spent for such ceremonies. Sometimes we have to observe the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies to please such unintelligent men. Recently, when we established a large Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, we were obliged to have Vedic ceremonies enacted by Brahmanas because the inhabitants of Vrindavan, especially the Smarta Brahmanas, would not accept Europeans and Americans as bona fide Brahmanas. Thus, we had to engage Brahmanas to perform costly yajnas. In spite of these yajnas, the members of our society performed Sankirtan loudly with Madungas, and I considered the Sankirtan more important than the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. Both the ceremonies and the Sankirtan were going on simultaneously. The ceremonies were meant for persons interested in Vedic rituals for elevation to heavenly planets, Jadikrita Matir Madhu Pushpitayam, whereas the Sankirtan was meant for pure devotees interested in pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We would simply have performed Sankirtan, but then the inhabitants of Vrindavan would not have taken the installation ceremony seriously. As explained here, the Vedic performances are meant for those whose intelligence has been dulled by the flowery language of the Vedas, which describe fruitive activities intended to elevate one to higher planets. Especially in the age of Kali, Sankirtan alone is sufficient. Especially in this age of Kali, Sankirtan alone is sufficient. If the members of our temples in different parts of the world simply continue Sankirtan before the deity, especially before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haribol, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, they will remain perfect. There is no need of any other performances. Nevertheless, to keep oneself clean in habits and mind, deity worship and other regulative principles are required. Srila Jiva Goswami says that although Sankirtan is sufficient for the perfection of life, the archana, or worship of the deity in the temple, must continue in order that the devotees may stay clean and pure. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore recommended that one follow both processes simultaneously. We strictly follow his principle of performing deity worship and Sankirtan along parallel lines. This we should continue. Text number 26. Considering all these points, therefore, intelligent men decide to solve all problems by adopting the devotional service of chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart and who is a mine of all auspicious qualities. Such persons are not within my jurisdiction for punishment. Generally, they never commit sinful activities, but even if by mistake or because of bewilderment or illusion, they sometimes commit sinful acts. They are protected from sinful reactions because they always chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Purport. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verse from the prayers of Lord Brahma, 10:14-29. Atapite deva padam bujatoya prasadadeshanugrihita evahi janati tatkvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko vichayam vichimvam. The purport is that even though one is a very learned scholar of the Vedic Shastras, he may be completely unaware of the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his name, fame, qualities, and so forth. Whereas one who is not a great scholar can understand the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he somehow or other becomes a pure devotee of the Lord by engaging in devotional service. Therefore, this verse spoken by Yamaraj says, Evam vimrishya sudiyo bhagavati. Those who engage in the loving service of the Lord become sudiya, intelligent. But this is not so of a Vedic scholar who does not understand Krishna's name, fame, and qualities. What was that, a phone? Where's Divyanam? Okay, a pure devotee is one whose intelligence is clear. He is thoroughly thoughtful because he engages in the service of the Lord, not as a matter of show, but with love, with his mind, words, and body. Non-devotees may make a show of religion, but it is not very effective, because although they ostentatiously attend a temple or church, they are thinking of something else. Such persons are neglecting their religious duty and are punishable by Yamaraj. but a devotee who commits sinful acts, which he may do unwillingly or accidentally because of his former habits, is excused. That is the value of the Sankirtan movement. Did you like it?
Yes.
My dear servants, please do not approach such devotees, for they have fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are equal to everyone, and their narrations are sung by the demigods and the inhabitants of Siddhaloka. Please do not even go near them. They are always protected by the club of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore Lord Brahma and I, and even the time factor, are not competent to chastise them. Confirmed. In effect, Yamaraj warned his servants, my dear servants, despite what you have done previously to disturb the devotees, henceforward you should stop. The actions of devotees who have surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord and who constantly chant the holy name of the Lord are praised by the demigods and the residents of Siddhaloka. Those devotees are so respectable and exalted that Lord Vishnu personally protects them with the club in his hand. Therefore, regardless of what you have done this time, henceforward you should not approach such devotees. Otherwise you will be killed by the club of Lord Vishnu. This is my warning. Lord Vishnu has a club and chakra to punish non-devotees. Do not risk punishment by attempting to disturb the devotees. Not to speak of you, even if Lord Brahma or I were to punish them, Lord Vishnu would punish us. Therefore, do not disturb the devotees any further. Text number 28. Paramahamsas are exalted persons who have no taste for material enjoyment and who drink the honey of the Lord's lotus feet. My dear servants, bring to me for punishment only persons who are averse to the taste of that honey, who do not associate with Paramahamsas, and who are attached to family life and worldly enjoyment, which form the path to hell. Purport. After warning the Yamadutas not to approach the devotees, Yamaraj now indicates who is to be brought before him. He specifically advises the Yamadutas to bring him the materialistic persons who are attached to household life merely for sex. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yan Maitu Nadi Griyamedi Sukham Hituchtam. People who are attached to household life for sex only. They're always harassed in many ways by their material engagements. And their only business is that after working very hard all day, at night they sleep and indulge in sex. Nidraya hriyate naktam vyavayena chaya bhavaya. At night, materialistic householders sleep or indulge in sex life. Diva charte hayarajan kutumba baranina va. During the day, they are busy trying to find out where money is. And if they get money, they spend it to maintain their families. Yamaraj specifically advises his servants. What? Yamaraj specifically advises his servants to bring these persons to him for punishment, and not to bring the devotees who always lick the honey at the lotus feet of the Lord, who are equal to everyone, and who try to preach Krishna consciousness because of sympathy for all living entities. Devotees are not liable to punishment by Yamaraj, but persons who have no information of Krishna consciousness cannot be protected by their material life of so-called family enjoyment. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Patya Kalatradesh Atmasainesh Satsapi Tesham Pramato Nidanam Prashanapi Napashati. Such persons complacently believe that their nations, communities, or families can protect them, unaware that all such fallible soldiers will be destroyed in due course of time. In conclusion, one should try to associate with persons who engage in devotional service 24 hours a day. And text number 29. My dear servants, please bring to me only those sinful persons who do not use their tongues to chant the holy name and qualities of Krishna, whose hearts do not remember the lotus feet of Krishna even once, and whose heads do not bow down even once before Lord Krishna. Send me those who do not perform their duties toward Vishnu, which are the only duties in human life. please bring me all such fools and rascals. Purport. The word Vishnu Krityan is very important in this verse because the purpose of human life is to please Lord Vishnu. Varnashrama Dharma. Varnashrama Dharma is also meant for that purpose. As stated in the Vishnu Purana, Varnashrama Charavata Udashena Parapuman Vishnu Aradyate Panta Nanyat Tato Shakaranam. Human society is meant to follow strictly the Varnashrama Dharma, which divides society into 4 social orders, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and 4 spiritual divisions, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Varnashrama Dharma easily brings one nearer to Lord Vishnu, who is the only true objective in human society. Nate vidu swartagatim hi Vishnu. Unfortunately, however, people do not know that their self-interest is to return home back to Godhead or to approach Lord Vishnu. Durasha ye bahar artamanina. Instead, they are simply bewildered. Every human being is expected to perform duties meant for approaching Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Yamaraj advises the Yamadutas to bring him those persons who have forgotten their duties toward Vishnu. Akrita Vishnu Krityan. One who does not chant the holy name of Lord Vishnu, Krishna, who does not bow down to the deity of Vishnu, and who does not remember the lotus feet of Vishnu is punishable by Yamaraj. In summary, all of Vaishnavas, persons unconcerned with Lord Vishnu, are punishable by Yamaraj. We'll take a few reflections or questions. Oh, yes.
Hare Krishna. I really like this verse because it reminds me of a class that Tamal Krishna Maharaj gave about book distribution. He was saying that we shouldn't let the people of this world have an excuse that they shouldn't go to Yamaraj and be punishable. They should at least have that opportunity to engage with the devotees on the streets. And so it's like maybe they get an opportunity to chant the holy name once or bow down even figuratively by submitting themselves in a small way in that moment to the book distribution, and then that excuses them from being touched by Yamaraj. So it's the Krishna consciousness movement is responsible for not making that happen.
Bhalo, bhalo. Hari, hari, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, yes.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I was just thinking while reading this, when we were reading this verse where it says 27, that Vishnu himself protects with his club the devotees. And then we saw Ajamil was calling Narayan. But then I was recollecting earlier in Canto 1, we have this verse where Ete Changsha Kala Pungsha Krishna Stu Bhagavan Sayam. And in the purport, Prabhupada explained how various other incarnations are not complete. Krishna is the only full, has all the qualities. So is this just semantic? These different names are used, as in they are actually referring to Krishna? Or how should we understand that?
Semantic in the sense
As
that
in,
Prabhupada uses Krishna here and there?
I mean, by Narayan also we are referring to Krishna, or by Narayan we are referring to Narayan?
Same person. There's no difference between Krishna and Narayan at all.
Yeah, but then in that verse 1.3.28 or something, where Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan mentioned.
Same person.
Okay.
Vedanti tat tat vavidas tatvam yaj jnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdite. It's a dvaya gyan tattva, means it's non-dual. There is no difference. In fact, it's all one.
Thank you.
Okay, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Sri Brahma Samhita says, departure evidhita shantanama dipeta dipayate vrvitehetu samana dharma yastash. He says, just like one candle lights many other candles, they have the same potency, but there is an original candle. And Krishna, the difference is in his extra qualities. Krishna, Narayan has 60 qualities, Krishna has 64, which are his delightful, playful, sweet qualities there that he exhibits in Vrindavan. So it's just in mood only. Just like you're a different person when you're at home than when you go to work, right? You dress differently and you act a little more formally in your company. But Krishna...
actually engaging in egoistic activities, which probably is not very, good, or not very in the mode of goodness. And like Shukracharya also became like the teacher of the demons, which I don't find like very in the mode of goodness. Like sometimes I struggle to understand then why they are considered as, higher personalities if they are still struggling with modes that we also struggle, like in mode of ignorance or in the mode of passion. Or is it my mind's, ignorance that asks all these questions that I would rather not ask and just concentrate on my sadhana of chanting and just following the orders of Krishna and Guru?
No, you can ask questions. Prabhupada mentions how many of the devas, they're devotees, but they're sakama devotees. They still have some material desire or attachment to the material world. They have different posts. Sometimes they're affected by the posts that they're engaged in. It's hard being Indra. Lives in a heavenly planet. Imagine if you had a credit card with unlimited spending power and you weren't going to die for, a few billion years. What would you do? You get a convertible chariot, you could drive around to any universe you wanted to and maybe take a spin or something like that. It's hard work. Everybody knows ISKCON Hawaii has had the biggest turnover rate of temple presidents of anywhere in the movement. I don't know if that's true, but you can fact check me later. So that they're devotees, but still they have some connection to materialistic activities, and they can become overwhelmed at certain times. Nonetheless, Indra, Krishna, and has a great appreciation for these devotees. In fact, when Indra he stole the horses of Prithu Maharaj several times to interrupt his yajna because he was envious. He didn't want Prithu Maharaj to do 100 yajnas. He wanted to be the only one that had that claim to fame. And then Prithu Maharaj became so angry, he wanted to kill him. So the priests there that were performing the yajna said, "You can't kill Indra. We'll do it for you. And we'll suck him into the sacrificial fire with our mantras." And then Brahma came and said, "Nobody's killing Indra here. He's a devotee. What are you guys doing? This is crazy." And he told Prithu Maharaj, "Just take the 99. You'll be famous for being tolerant of Indra later." So these things go on throughout the Bhagavatam. Partly, the Bhagavatam informs us of the topsy-turvy nature of the material world. As long as we're in the material world, there's always complications because of our involvement in the material world. We find even Krishna's pure devotees. Look at Akrura. Akrura came to pick up Krishna. He's very dear to Lord Krishna, but then he got involved with that whole shenanigans in the Shamantaka jewel episode. So these are the twists and turns that take place here in this world. Are you satisfied? Were you looking for something else?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, but we should be very much aware, even as Krishna says, we discussed yesterday, apichet sudaracharo bhajate mama nanyabhak. If somebody's determined in devotional service, and that's their intention in life, if they have some misstep or they display some worldly nature, Krishna says he's demanding that we recognize them as sadhus because they're properly aligned in their purpose. Even if they don't have if they have if they make mistakes, because very quickly they'll come to the perfect stage. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Yes.
Well, I wanted to ask you. You were there.
Here we're going to relay this.
You were there in Krishna Balarama Mandir during. It was mentioned in the purport during those ceremonies and the Sankirtan.
1975. Yeah.
Can you share some memory from that?
Prabhupada was there, and there was an elaborate several days of installation of all the deities. And many local Brahmins were there. And mostly they're Americans and Europeans. And that includes, the English, right? When I say Europeans, does it? Yeah. And so and the Aussies were there for sure. And so it was a rip-roaring kirtan. I mean, devotees, when they got to the Dham, it was sometimes hours of kirtan, mostly stand-up. We didn't do too much sit-down kirtan in those days. Everyone was standing up. Everyone was dancing, some more than others. The Namhata danced crazily. And it was a particular party that came from Japan. They were Japanese, though, except for two of them. And meanwhile, all these yagas were going on, and Prabhupada had to be there for the yagas because he was, as he explained in this purport, he was doing all the yagas and tolerating all of them, even though he wasn't in favor of doing all these things just to placate the idea that the other Smarta Brahmins would have in Vrindavan, that it wasn't a bona fide thing. So that was it. Kirtan. There was huge kirtan. Oh, and I was going to say, when devotees got to India, everyone would buy new kartals and drums and stuff like that. So the sound was uproarious. There's no harmoniums in those days. We didn't play harmonium. I mean, temples sometimes had them, played them, long thing, but they were stand-up dancing kirtans with kartals and mridanga mainly. And there weren't a lot of lessons in that. So you can listen to the tapes, and it's uproarious, and there's people are screaming and jumping, and it was fantastic.
Nowadays, we see a lot of yagyas being performed, fire sacrifices around the world of ISKCON, maybe for fundraising or other kind of samskars. Are these really valid?
Well, any kind of ceremony that one performs in this age of Kali Yuga, Jiva Goswami says, should be preceded by and finished with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Otherwise, why do it? And sometimes it's demonstrative, and it invites people to participate more in Krishna consciousness. Probably kept things really simple. You see in the memories of Srila Prabhupada, Pradyumna talks about how he was studying yagya to perform fire yagyas for Prabhupada's initiations and for other rituals. And he was a scholar, so he asked Prabhupada, should I do it like this, or like that? He said, Prabhupada leaned over and he said, shortcut. If you listen to, you can see the transcriptions of Prabhupada's weddings. They were like 10 minutes. Exchange garlands, do you accept? It's like, and that's it. He kept it really simple in those ways. And also, the first artik that was done there, Prabhupada went on the altar, he wore his kurta. When he went on the altar, it's a big thing, no sewn cloth and everything. Prabhupada walked on the altar with this, you can see the picture. He's there doing artik with his kirtan. You can also see Prabhupada chanting Gayatri without covering his hand. So, we don't necessarily have to be more Catholic than the Pope. If we see Prabhupada's mood and we adopt to that, especially emphasizing what Prabhupada emphasized, that's why we're reading his books. When we read Prabhupada's books like this together, then we have a collective idea of what his mood and methods were. And they're perfect. And that's exactly the mood and method we can take up, we can ascertain. And it's important to read all his books because they're encyclopedic. And if you read something in one place and you think, well, that, and then you read some other place, they're balancing statements somewhere else. What I find is going through the Bhagavatam regularly, like at least once or twice a year, you should finish the whole thing if you can. or at least in 5 years, so you have context of everything that's there, then you get a natural sense for what Prabhupada's mood was. It's also helpful to look into a lot of things we have. Just when we were at Rise, I didn't get a chance to talk because I lost my voice. But I was thinking a lot about one of the principles that I wanted to express, and I think I did it in a little note that I passed down from my room to whoever it was, Pragosh, who read it out, was assimilating what we have. And there was a discussion that took place with Prabhupada on a morning walk after devotees had come to India and they were collecting all kinds of things, like extra books from Gaudiya Maths and things like that. So one of the temple president was a Chutananda at the time. He said, no more books, can't keep them in the temple. And people said, yeah, but these are by previous acharyas and so forth. So a big fight ensued. And then, as usually, they brought it to Prabhupada. A lot of times it would be on a morning walk. And one side would, they would flank him. Like he would mediate. And so they brought it up. Paramahamsa Swami was saying about, Prabhupada said, someone was saying you can't have these books, he's banning them in the temple. And Paramahamsa brought up, somebody said, Prabhupada said, you can't read the books of the previous acharyas. And Prabhupada said, I have said? No, I have not said. I said, you should read the books of the previous acharyas, but my point is that you should assimilate what you already have. And so this concept of assimilation, which comes from Latin, assimilare means to be so aware of the material that you take it up in your lifestyle, you become similar with the other thing that you're listening to, you're connecting with. And so it's the primal vibration of ISKCON. ISKCON means the vibration of Prabhupada's books. He spoke everything there. And unless we read them together like this, and all the way through continuously, we don't get a complete picture, and people cherry pick all kinds of things from here or there and make it sensationalist, and then there are clear divisions. Yes, last thing, and then we got to sing a bhajan. Otherwise you're going to want your money back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's so lovely to see the interest of kids, teenagers, middle age, old age, all ready to hear Bhagavatam together, as you just said. My humble request, can you please inspire the kids, the teenagers, the middle age, the old age, to please participate actively in the Bhadra campaign to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. We need the help of every entity here. So please,
you listen? Okay.
If you can inspire them, that will be a great help.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Should participate in the Bhadra campaign, whatever age you are. There you go. And now we're going to sing. We have a production for you now, not just a bhajan, but we brought in the Hare Krishna dancers. They've been preparing for a long time, and they're ready to perform their version of the Das Avatar Stotra, which we'll sing together, and they will enact as we sing it.
Okay. Girls, can you come over here? We're going to move the sofa a little bit, so a little more space. So if everybody can, I don't know how we're going to do this. Do it there. You're going to make all of the devotees with the heavy equipment. Push the TV on the left. Push the TV on the left? No, you can't push it from. We're going to get good. Okay. So, one second, we just need to work this out.
Just warming up. Adhiram Vihita Vahidrachari Tamakedam Keshavadrita Meena Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Take it from the top again. Start over. Pralaya Payodi Jale Dritava Nasi Vedam Vihita Vahitra Charita Makedam Keshavadrita Meena Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Shitiriha Vipulatare Tishtati Tava Prishte Dharani Dharana Kina Chakra Garishne Keshavadrita Kurma Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare. Isha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Vasati Dashana Shikare Dharani Tavalagna Shashani Kalanka Kalevani Magna Keshavadita Shukara Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamaduta Shringa Dalita Iranya Kashipu Tanubringa Eshamadrita Jai Jagadisha Hare. Chalayasi Vikramane Balimaduta Vamana Paranakanira Janita Janapavana Keshavadita Vamana Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Kshatriya Rudhira Maye Jagarapagata Papam Snapayasi Payasi Shanta Bhavatapam Adrita Rigupati Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Vitarasi Dikshurane Dikpati Kamaniyam Dashamukha Mauli Parim Ramaniyam Savadrita Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Vahasiva Pushi Vishadeva Sanam Jalatavam Halati Diti Milita Yamunam Aladara Rupa Nindasi Yagya Vidhe Ahaha Shuti Jata Saryali Daya Dashita Pashugata Eshavadita Gura Sharira Lechani Vahanidane Kalarasikara Sala Duma Ketumi Bekima Pikaravam Eshanadita Kalki Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Isha Hare Jagadisha Shri Jaya Deva Kaveri Ramuditam Taram Shri Sukhadam Shubhadam Bhavasaram Eshavadita Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Tejanurarate Jaganti Bahate Bhugolam Bhuvibrate Daityam Dharayate Balim Jalayate Shatra Shayam Kurvate Alasam Jayate Alam Kalayate Karunyamatanvate Vichanur Jayate Dashakritikite Krishnaya Tuvyam Namah. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Shri Shri Radhalanda Nishwara, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. If you so desire, please engage us in constantly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and distributing it to people all over the world in every town and village. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer and agrees to distribute at least one set of Bhagavatams for Vajra Purnima. Please say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Go Premanande Haribo. Vancha Kalpatrusha Kripa Sindhabe Vachapatitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Nantagori Vaishnavi Ki Jai. Now we have a word from our sponsor.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the day 2. How was the session today?
So we'll continue here again, same time, tomorrow, 6 o'clock in the evening, same place, Bhakti Lounge. Please be here. And also, we just need a couple of volunteers just to set the room back how it was so that it's easy for us to come back to the same room. And thank you, everybody. As Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu requested all of us, this is a good opportunity to take in, soak in this vibration of Bhagavatam and then take it out and share it with the rest of the world. Today Maharaj was telling me that we just need 108 Amrendra Prabhu because he had a call with Amrendra Prabhu and he was discussing how we can help, distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. And we've got 108 sages here in this Bhakti Lounge. So please try to come together and work with us on this wonderful opportunity. It's a historic moment for us in this year where we are looking to distribute at least 100,008 Bhagavatam sets. So there will be more coming on this. Many leaders who are going to be traveling all around the world will be helping us, inspiring us and encouraging us in this wonderful missionary activity. So please stay tuned and work with us. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
That's all, folks. Okay, yeah. Please come back tomorrow. We'll keep the transcendental vibration going. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.